Hey everyone, it's Jennifer. Thanks so much for stopping by. I really appreciate it. Today I have a card for you that shows lots of things, but the main thing is how to color embossing paste. I'm going to show you a couple different ways to do it, so chances are you can use some things you already have. I also, in the process of making this card, I'm going to show you how I colored these little bunnies with gamsol. So there's a lot of different things in this video, but let's go ahead and start out with coloring your own embossing paste. Now, embossing paste is really big right now because stencils are so huge in card making. So I'm going to show you how to do it. It's so easy to do. So I have a piece of light pool colored cardstock. This is actually Simon Says Stamps sea glass color. I love it, and I'm just temporarily adhering it down to my work surface. And I have this great stencil also from Simon Says Stamp. It's called Falling Stars. It's a fantastic stencil. What I'm going to do is just dab ink over it with my Distress ink and a sponge dauber. Now you could use absolutely any ink you wanted to for this. I'm using Distress ink because I love this color. And you can use any kind of inking tool you want. These sponge daubers are great because you can kind of twist them to get the color in these teeny tiny holes. You could use your finger if you wanted to. You could use a pencil eraser, anything you want to put ink over these holes. So this peacock feathers is just a gorgeous color. Once you're done, you can take it off and you can see you have these tiny subtle stars. I just think they're beautiful. But I'm actually going to do more with it. I'm going to use the stencil again, but this time instead of using it the way I did before, I'm going to flip it over just so I can get a different pattern. So that was how it was before, and now I'm going to flip it over and put it down. I'm kind of lining it up to make sure none of my stars overlap, and I'm going to tape it down again. Now this time I'm going to use my embossing paste. I use Wendy's embossing paste, but you could use Dreamweavers. It's the same thing. And I'm just putting a tiny bit down. Actually, you see how much I have there? I don't even need that much. Now this time I'm going to color my embossing paste with the re-inker. Many of us have re-inkers for our stamp pads, and the Distress ink re-inkers are great for this. You just put a drop down and you can mix it in. You can vary how light or dark it is depending on how much color you put in there. But I just mix it up on my craft sheet. You could use a paper plate for this if you wanted to, and it's like frosting. Oh, it's just beautiful. So now I can take this and scrape it onto my stencil. Now, if you watch to the end of this video, I'm going to show you another way to color paste if you don't have re-inkers. You could also use paints. There's a lot of things you could use, but my favorite is to use the Distress re-inkers because they come in such great colors. So I'm just applying this paste just like frosting on a cake. I put on a thin layer, and there you can see the little raised stars, and I love the two-tone there. I decided I wanted to add some sparkles, so I'm putting on my favorite sparkle embossing powder, and I'm going to put this on while the embossing powder is still wet. Now, people have asked about this little container and spoon that I use for my embossing powders. I will link below in the YouTube description and on my blog so you can see where I get those because I've been getting a ton of questions. Now, I'm putting this powder onto the paste while it's wet. Sorry, paste while it's wet. But then I'm going to let it set aside and dry for like a half hour so that the paste is dry. And then I'm going to heat and melt the embossing powder. The reason I let the paste dry on its own is if you take the heat gun to the paste right away, it'll kind of make a bubble, which is really cool, but I wanted a nice smooth look. So after I heat set this, I end up with the flat ink stars that we did first. Then I end up with the raised puffy stars that I did the embossing powder on the paste. Now you'll see me sanding off the edges here. I had some paste hanging off the edges. I just use a fingernail file to smooth those edges off. And there you can see all that great dimension that you get by using the stencil twice, once with ink and once with paste and powder. Now I also thought I'd show you how I colored my little bunnies on this card. I love, love, love this stamp set from Mama Elephant. I think these bunnies are just adorable. And I've lately gotten away from my Copic markers because I'm not that great with them, and I'm back to my old favorite Prismacolor colored pencils and gamsol. I love Prismacolor colored pencils because they're high quality, and gamsol makes it so easy to blend with. This is gamsol in a little bottle from Inky Antics. I highly recommend getting this bottle because it's nice and contained. There aren't many fumes coming out of it because it's closed off on the top instead of using a big open container. I'll talk a little bit more about gamsol in a minute. But with the gamsol and the colored pencils, you do not have to put much effort into it. Notice I am totally just scribbling around the edges of my bunny here. Then I'm going to use the gamsol to blend it all in. So it saves me a lot of time doing this. Now this gamsol comes out of this little tip here. It's like a little felt tip. And I put it on these paper stubs, these little paper pencils that you see here. It's just wound up super tight paper. It absorbs the gamsol from the container, and then I just scribble it over my colored pencil and it makes it blend. Look how easy that blends. It's just easy and beautiful, and you can get light to dark colors. You can go back and add more if you wanted to, and I only needed one color of pencil. Now gamsol, Mineral spirits, you want to be careful with the fumes and all that. That's why I like that small container, and I only use it and I close it up. You might want to read about it if you have any concerns, or you can also use baby oil for a blending agent. But look at how you get this great blending between that pink on the top of the bunny's ear with the gray that I scribbled on the bottom of his ear, and you can just blend them together, no effort. So if you have trouble with Copics, this might be something you want to try. They're not nearly as expensive, and it takes me a lot less time. I don't know, I seem to be going back to using this instead of Copics lately. So this other bunny I'm going to do in brown. You can see I just did some fast scribbles here. Gray is actually, I found that gray is one of the hardest colors to blend with gamsol, and that's as hard as it gets, I think. But look how easy the brown blends. It's just super, super easy to do. Now that little gamsol bottle that you saw me use earlier, and that's what I keep going back and pressing onto the tip of that bottle. That's what I do when I go out of the screen here. That little bottle I've had forever. Oh, there's Lila saying hi down there. She likes the bunnies. I've had that little bottle forever, and you can get new paper stubs, those little stumps they look like little pencils here that I'm coloring with. You can get more of those, but I find when I switch from one color to another, all I do is scribble it off on the side on some scrap paper, and you can use it for any color. I just love how easy the gamsol is, and I'll do some more videos in the future. Now for the greeting on this, I'm using another new stamp set from Mama Elephant. And I'm kind of building some greetings up. I love the stamp set because you can put 2 lines and 2 different fonts together. I'm stamping along the edge of some white cardstock because I'm going to trim this into a nice strip. So now I'm going to take my paper trimmer and I can just trim right across the bottom there, and I end up with a nice strip. Now I wanted to make it look like this was a banner kind of waving and folded over my card. So I'm going to do a little score line here and fold it back so I get the look of it kind of folding back like a waving banner. And then I'm going to put some foam tape under all that so that it raises up. Now with the other end, I'm going to cut it to a V. This is just the leftover paper. I'm going to cut it to a V. I cut down the middle first, and then I meet up to the top point from both corners. And I'm going to cut this small, and now I'm going to glue this offset from the other piece so that it looks like it's a wave banner, but it really isn't. So it's just easier to do this way. So here I'm going to take the foam tape and tuck it underneath that folded end. I have way more foam tape than I need under here, but I'm just trying to do this quick. And I'm going to put some adhesive on the bottom of this flap. This is one trick I do quite often, and glue it just slightly offset from that little piece that we made. And there we have what looks like a banner going across the card. So I'm going to glue this down onto the card that I made before. I put that stenciled piece onto a note card. And I've got some foam tape on the back of my little bunnies here that I cut out. I think these bunnies have got to be the cutest thing I've seen in a long time. Add that to the card, and then I'll just trim off the piece of the banner that's hanging off the side. Now again, that was just a quick peek at gamsol. I'll do some more videos in the future, but it's a product I've had forever and I've decided to use it again. So this is a new die set from Mama Elephant. I love it. Look at it, cuts these little fake sequins. Oh, I just love them. Sequins are so hard to glue down, and these little fake ones made out of cardstock are fantastic. But I decided to use the little hearts that are in this die set. I'm going to kind of have them scattered across the top there. However, I decided that that pale pink was a little too light, so I decided to add some of the Mama Elephant pigment ink on the edge with a little sponge dauber just to give it some dimension. And then I'll add them to the card with a little dot of glossy accents. Now, tiny little die cuts like this, I love them as little touches on a card, but sometimes they're tricky to pick up. I use this little quick sticks. It's got a sticky end that helps you pick up tiny little things, and then a little sharp end that helps you kind of move them exactly where you want it. So that's why you see me flipping it around here. But I find this tool is great if you're doing tiny little intricate pieces like this, or you could use tweezers. Now I decided to add some more sparkle, so I'm putting some Wink of Stella glitter pen on just the little hearts there, and then a coating of glossy accents, which really makes it shine. So you can see here in the picture the little bit of sparkle and shine that you get on those hearts, and it kind of ties together with the stars we did in the background. Now before, I promised that I would show you another way to color your embossing paste. I know some people don't have a lot of re-inkers, so you can just use your regular ink. Pretty much any kind of ink would work. Just smoosh some, or smush, whatever word you want to use there, onto something slick like a craft sheet or a piece of plastic. Just mix your embossing paste on there. You just need a little bit. And there you can mix it up, and you can use the ink from your ink pad to color your embossing paste. I just love this technique. As always, the products I used are linked below in my YouTube description, or you can head to my blog where I have links to other fun projects and more photos, and also, of course, the products I used. Thanks again for stopping by. I really appreciate it, and we'll see you again soon.